We have got the FOMC meeting in 8 days from now. We are also very closely monitoring the Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum charts because right now some crazy and pretty sketchy things are happening. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Right now there's a massive move against the US dollar. And like I talked about earlier today, with our video with regards to the Coinbase lawsuit against the SEC, right now crypto is just pretty screwed over in the US. Even Mr. Chamath, all right, he said crypto is dead in America, tech billionaire explains. Because they're just not doing their job. Talking about guys doing their job, apparently over in Korea, the banks might get some authority, to do their job even better. Apparently they get the nod to investigate local crypto firms. At the same time, an expert, what does that mean, claims selling XRP before the SEC lawsuit ends is the worst possible move. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It's interesting. At the same time, we've also got the Terraform Labs co-founder, Mr. Daniel Shin, and actually 9 others indicted in South Korea. We got Binance integrating ChatGPT into their website, Visa hiring more crypto developers to drive mainstream adoption, and like I said earlier, the de-dollarization. Let's first start off by saying, if you think this idea of too big to fail exists, better think again. JP Morgan's too big to never fail subsidy. If it paid 4% on its $2.3 trillion in deposits, it will pay out $90 billion per year. Instead, it pays nothing to fund its assets thanks to the 0.01% deposit rates. I'd say this whole idea of too big to fail could definitely play a proper role if all these parties worked together and if the system was right. But the crazy thing about it, guys, is the system ain't right. If you asked any arbitrary person, you asked them, could one of the top 5 banks, or just one of the biggest firms like Silicon Valley Bank, just collapse one day? People would tell you, obviously not, no. But it did. And even Elon Musk is commenting on the situation, so bizarre that people and companies don't use money management, treasury bill, checking accounts, and earn 4%. In theory, like a normal bank account with nothing in terms of special features is like the dumbest way to store your money because you're literally losing money every single year. The bank can literally quit any day. Some people say it's safer to keep money under your mattress, which obviously has 2 sides, but from a certain perspective, it's really not that stupid of an idea because you get nothing for keeping it in just a normal savings account. It's like such a dumb thing they decided to do in the banking system. Regardless, de-dollarization is real and it's happening fast. Dollar's share went from 73% in 2001 to 55% in 2020. Went from 55% to 47% since sanctions launched on Russia. Now de-dollarization is 10 times faster than the previous 2 decades. And partially, this is good for crypto because it will allow more people to become familiar with the idea that not everything has to be denominated in the US dollar and that you can actually buy major assets and price them basically in different sort of assets. For example, a house doesn't always have to be thought of in the dollar sense, but can be thought of in other assets like, for example, cryptocurrencies. And the same thing goes for gold. We don't necessarily need this dollar standard anymore, but And like Elon says it, if you weaponize currency enough times like the US has been doing, other countries will stop using it. And I think I've got enough proof in the pudding for all that. De-dollarization in focus as 19 countries express interest in joining the BRICS. And also apparently 70% of trade deals between China and Russia are now settled in Chinese yuan or Russian rubles, as again, they're getting away from the US dollar. Anyway, with regards to crypto, there are 3 major areas that we're watching in terms of price. Just wanted to quickly express that to all of y'all, and I think they are quite obvious. We've got ourselves 2 very interesting demand zones, and we've got ourselves a major moving average. And it's basically a system of if we break, next level to watch. If we break, next level to watch. And the upside is a lot more clear. You can see where the resistance lies for the last couple of weeks with one little burst towards the top. And I don't think we even need to draw it in because if we just make a bounce from here, the upside is basically infinite here, it seems. But like I said before, there are a couple of charts that we're watching right now that are a little bit deterring. For example, still this ascending broadening wedge. I know it's still playing a role. And the fact that we just got ourselves a major reversal. These are all things to take into consideration when you're thinking about either trading or purchasing crypto. From the purchasing side, I think, the more reversal type of action we get, the better to buy, because obviously it's cheaper. And I've personally already described many, many times that I think the major bull run is around the corner. I do believe an all-time high will probably happen a couple months after the Bitcoin halving, because historically that's basically how it's looked. So it might take another year for Bitcoin to get to $100,000. But is it really that bad? Let's say we take 1 year. I still believe that in the midst of that journey, the price is still going to be continuing to go up. Like, for example, all the way back here, you can see, for example, this point, March 9th of 2020. All right. Between there and all-time high is how much time? 616 days. So let's call it a year and a half. I know it's a lot more, but let's call it a year and a half between a low dip and the bottom. Let's consider this point right here, November of 2022, to be our extremely low point. 16 days in the future would end us in about July of 2024. If I have to wait till that point to hit $100,000 or so per Bitcoin, and that would ultimately mean like those crazy prices for XRP, $10 plus, Ethereum at $10,000, whatever. I'm really not in that bad a mood if I were to see that, guys. I would not be too surprised. I would not be too let down because I have time. And again, we've talked about the cycle so ridiculously many times, but it just makes sense for us to stack up on crypto in this era, in this exact part, in the part of the cycle, basically, the 4-year cycle of the halving, obviously. And that's why I'm just stacking up like a madman, buying more crypto every single day. Price goes down, I buy more. Price goes up, I still buy. You might think that's stupid, but let's chat about this in another year from now. And we're going to see where all the naysayers are and where we, the real buyers, are going to be. That does not mean I'm not sketched out by some of these moves. For example, the fact that some of these major whales all of a sudden have decided to wake up. It is kinda strange. And I've been covering it for a little while. Why is all of a sudden 350 million XRP being sent? Why is all of a sudden $70 million worth of Ethereum being sent to Coinbase? Why are all of a sudden all these major Bitcoin whales with hundreds of millions of dollars waking up? You can see 3 whales with $225 million have woken up in the past 5 days. Do they know something that we don't? Do they see something in the pudding that we can't feel with our chopsticks? Whatever. What a metaphor that was, huh? Is it because they know some investigation is going to be coming, or some sort of lawsuit, or some sort of just takedown of sorts? I mean, we've seen major fund managers take their money out of their funds, but we've also seen crazy things like Tucker Carlson getting fired after he got on with a crazy speech about the current political system. Is it something along those lines? I mean, like I've said before, I believe that right now selling XRP is one of the worst moves, because if you think about it, this is like one of the lower points for XRP, where the downside is quite minimal, but the upside is ridiculously juicy. And the same thing applies to Bitcoin, in my opinion, where let's say something bad happens, a bad rule gets implemented, the downside is limited, but we have so much upside if finally they decide to make some proper rules, or finally this system that's on the verge of collapsing actually does collapse. And again, many people often say, yeah, but the bad actors or a bad exploit. Guys, at the end of the day, the people get taken down. And right now, I know we're not in the best of positions when we're talking about exploits, because they do still happen quite often. But guys that mess up, right now, they're getting away with it sometimes. But soon enough, that ain't gonna be the case no more. Terraform Labs co-founder Daniel Shin and 9 others indicted in South Korea. They're gonna be taken down, baby. Anyway, like I said earlier, over in the US, like right now we're speculating that some people know something that we don't in terms of regulation, in terms of decisions or something, because money is moving in a strange fashion. But there's also been, 10 minutes ago here, there's been some breaking news. People have been speculating. CFTC official hints at settlement in Binance lawsuit. Well, a CFTC official hinted at taking Binance lawsuit towards a logical conclusion, which could mean a settlement. However, when I read this article here, it just says that at this stage, there's no immediate path forward. Is that what people and all these whales are moving for right now? Do they know something that we don't in this regard? Little side note, I'll talk about this more later. But David Schwartz, just now, 20 minutes ago, commented this, that he's more excited about this feature than any other proposed XRPL feature in the past 10 years. It's about the XRP Ledger's new AMM network. Latchlin explains a couple of different key features: no MEV or front running, protocol native AMM, single-side liquidity provisions, continuous auctions, cloud functionality. He also gives a deeper explanation about what all these things mean. You can see it a little bit over here at the top. It's not perfectly in balance, but it's a little bit more techy for the people, and I might actually cover it in a separate video later tonight, or perhaps tomorrow, as it's a very interesting piece. But David Schwartz said, because when you hold a crypto, you generally view its volatility, large horizontal movements, as a minus. An AMM turns volatility into trading gains, and this particular design is built around this function. Again, people that have been around XRP for a little while know that this has been speculated for a long time. It's been hypothesized for a long time. I believe it's actually on some of the older Ripple sources as well. But, you know, with the XRP ledger and XRP, it's all about liquidity. So this idea of the proposed change is pretty huge, and people are very much excited for it. Because obviously this means you can make a freaking juicy sum of money. So I'm not so sure exactly what the bad sides of it are. Let me rephrase it, all right? If you've been into DeFi for a little while, you know what the bad sides are when you're actually interacting with it, but I don't know what the bad sides are of it existing, if you understand my drift, or it being mainstreamed. I wouldn't know exactly why you would not want to implement it. Hopefully you understand what I mean. But that's again because of my lack in technical research, and because right now I am in Austin, I am going to Consensus, and there's a dev meeting in a little bit. I might actually ask somebody to explain it to me better, so hopefully I can tomorrow explain it to you guys in a better fashion, because I'm already excited about it. I've been excited about this for a little while, but I'd like to know even deeper why this could be a bad idea. Why would anybody not be excited about this? I want to know both sides, obviously. And that's another important thing. Many people don't understand exactly why you need to know the bad side. If you're going to vote on something, I think it's quite important to know why you might not want to vote on it. For example, when we talked about some of the additional features of the XRP ledger, we noticed, okay, let's say we actually say yes to this. It might actually have this or that or this or that downside. One being potentially clogging up the network. Another being potentially making the transaction size too big, etc. There's just many different reasons why you might not want to have features, and so it's always worth considering. Anyway, something cool. Visa is hiring more crypto developers to drive mainstream adoption. Visa seeks experienced crypto developers to advance acceptance of public blockchain networks and stablecoin payments. You know, Visa knows where the freaking money is at. I've told you guys a dozen times before, these banks are working on it like crazy. These payment providers are working on it like crazy because they know where the actual money is going to lie. They might say in your face, no, we're too afraid of it. Oh, you shouldn't get into crypto. But in the back end, they are building it like crazy. It just makes sense from every angle. Then from a completely opposite side, apparently Binance is taking up their game a notch, integrating ChatGPT into the Binance Academy, which is really freaking funny. Apparently their Binance Sensei is powered by ChatGPT. And like I said at the start of this video, we've right now got about a week left before another key decision is going to be made. And one thing I'm telling you right now is, if we're talking all seriousness about the whales and why they might be moving money, there's a very high percentage chance that they know something, all right, in terms of major policy, major decisions that we don't. And for most of these times, it has to do something with the interest rate. It has to do something with inflation. It has to do something with job reports. And the fact that the FOMC meeting is in 8 days, and all of a sudden, we're starting to see massive firing sprees, massive. By the way, the higher tier, not like just people losing their jobs en masse. I'm just talking about some of these spearheads all of a sudden being fired. These major funds taking the money out of their own funds. Major fund managers taking out, or rather selling stock in their own companies. Major crypto whales waking up. What is going on? Does it have something to do with the FOMC meeting? If you do not know, this is the meeting where the interest rate is announced and the future expectations for US policy with regards to the interest rate and partially with inflation is also announced. They give some insights into job reports and whatever decides the interest rate and the current state of the economy over in the US. It's a critical decision, and right now it's expected that they are going to be increasing the interest rate yet again. Obviously, we're expecting a very pivotal, volatile time, and obviously, guys, we'll be live streaming this because usually, if you're quick with it and you've got a good strategy, you can make a couple thousand, couple tens of thousands, couple $1 million in a day just because of how volatile it is. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to watch it. And yeah, maybe that's going to be the major reversal that the crypto market needed right now. It's going to be very interesting to watch, and that's all I'll say for right now. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you press that like button. Again, if you guys are in Austin, Texas right now, and you guys are going to Consensus, reach out to me on Instagram. Maybe we'll see. I've already met a couple of you guys, which has been pretty cool. Shout out to everybody that I've seen outside. And yeah, see you guys again in another crypto video later today, tomorrow, who knows, right? Whenever there's some crazy news that needs to be covered.